Go for it.
Alrighty, welcome back to the You Never Know podcast, where you never know who we're going to have on or what we're going to talk about. Today's guest, she is one of Boise and Idaho's biggest traveling bloggers and I'd say social media influencers at this point. She is better known as Traveling Spud with over 16,000 followers on Instagram. Katie, how are we doing?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Excited to be here.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks. Can't wait.
How's your what is it, Wednesday? How's your Wednesday, your snowy / rainy Wednesday been going?
Did it snow today? I didn't
like
even
for
notice.
10 minutes
Up on
maybe?
Bogus, there's snow up there.
I was walking the
Oh.
dog, it snowed.
Oh, really?
Like a flurry. It didn't
Oh,
stick. It
okay.
was like, that flurry.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I like the cold weather though.
I don't.
Yeah, no.
Really? I like the cold weather when it's outside. The studio gets really freaking hot in the winter because they crank the heater. I don't know if the cameras
Yeah,
pick
this
it up.
is an old building.
Yeah, it's very old. But
Yeah.
That's like one of the first things everybody says when they come in here. This
it's
building's
either really
pretty
cool or really spooky to them.
old.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Might be haunted.
Yeah, I'm surprised you don't like cold weather since you're so into like traveling Idaho. I thought like winter would be the best time for some of the areas.
It is. Okay, so that's just my personal issue. I don't love winter, but it's better than I used to live in San Francisco, so coming back it's nice to have seasons. I miss the seasons. But winter it's just so cold and it lasts forever. It lasts till like May sometimes.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. I've been here since I was 5, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
over the cold weather. But yeah, so to kind of just get started, why don't you just kind of tell us like a little bit about yourself, just kind of like a basic introduction, where you're from, everything like that, and what kind of led up to you starting these travel blogs.
Yeah. So I am from Idaho originally. I grew up in Twin Falls many moons ago, and then I went to University of Idaho, go Vandals.
Ooh.
And not a fan?
No.
I
Oh,
just
dang.
people in my work, like half of us are from BSU, the other
Oh.
half are from U of I, so
Okay.
they're always
So there's a rivalry.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
We used to play each other in football when I was up there, so that was way fun, but they don't do it anymore, which is a
Oh.
bummer. So I went to U of I and then I moved to San Francisco for about 6 years to work in marketing and tech companies. That's what I got my major in. And then while I was over there working, I started to travel quite a bit through just my job. And so I sort of got the travel bug, but I think the main way I got the travel bug was when I went to Ghana from University of Idaho. I did a service trip, and they had the choice of going to Costa Rica and Ghana, Africa, and I was like, I'll go to Costa Rica. That
It's like
sounds
Costa
much.
Rica's so cool.
Yeah, and I was like, that sounds way cool. I know nothing about Ghana, and it sounds really far away. But then when they placed me, they put me in the Ghana group, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to Africa. This is wild. But it opened my eyes to just so much culture, and it was amazing. So that's kind of where I got the travel bug. And then it kind of evolved as I lived in San Francisco and was kind of getting to do all these work travels. I decided, why not just start a blog and write about it? And it sort of was just writing for myself and my friends. And then it sort of evolved into bigger. And the Traveling Spud name comes just because I was living in California, but I'm an Idahoan.
Uh-huh.
And now that I'm back in Boise, I was like, oh, it works. But I ended up, after living in San Francisco for 6 years, I ended up quitting my job and going to travel solo around the world for a year and a half.
Dang.
wow.
A year and 2 months.
So
not
like
a year and a half.
where were you traveling for like work? Like was it just
It was
like
mostly U.S.,
domestic?
like big cities, but I was like, I'm like, it's time to go abroad.
So I find that interesting that that's what gave you a travel bug. Because I feel like, I mean, maybe because you were like young enough in that kind of that like traveling era where you haven't maybe explored yet. Like I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, another trip, like another trip, and like I'm done flying like here and then flying back. Like I feel like that would almost be burnout.
Yeah.
They gave you the opposite. Which is
It
pretty
was,
cool.
well, it was kind of burnout because then I quit my job and went to do
Yeah.
it.
Right.
But I went to do it full time and I didn't work for that year and a half. So I saved up for a while.
So what was your travel schedule when you were working for the big tech companies?
I would usually go like to 2 to 3 to sometimes 4 events per month.
Dang.
So I was like Nashville, Orlando, one time I was in Vegas for 2 weeks, which was horrible. I do not
Yikes.
recommend.
Yeah.
And then one time I convinced my boss to let me go to Hawaii for a work trip
Ooh.
Hey, that's a good
for
one.
an event. I was
Yeah.
like,
What
That-
was the event? Can you?
it was just I used to work for a company called Glassdoor, and it
Oh
was
yeah,
like
the work company, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So we would do a lot of events for other businesses and like HR
They
people and
send me like
recruit.
4 emails a day.
Really?
Yeah. Like I
For
get
like
tons.
jobs and
Yeah.
stuff? Yeah.
You'd fit this job and it's like a doctor and I'm like not even close. Like I'm not
Oh,
even in
okay.
the
So our
doctor.
targeting has
Not yeah.
clearly not
Yeah,
good
no.
anymore.
Unfortunately, no.
That's funny. I love it.
So when you quit the big tech and you went for over a year just traveling the world, what was that like and where did you go?
It was scary at first, but it was pretty much felt like I got my master's in world studies is what I like to tell people, especially on my resume. I'm like, where's that gap? It's like, oh, I got my master's. But it really felt like I don't know, I felt like I had to do it just
Mhm.
to have it just I don't know. It was like I had to do it.
I
So
feel like everybody has that urge at one point in their
yeah.
life to just quit their job and go travel the world.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
actually did it.
Yeah. It was very scary though to go by myself, but I read a bunch of like other people who'd done it, other women and blogs, and I I started out went to like a happy hour for work and had some martinis, and after that I went home and found a flight for $400 to Iceland, and I booked it for like 3 months later, and I was like, "Okay, I got to either quit my job or tell them I'm going on sabbatical or what." I didn't know. I thought I was going to do 6 months, and I ended up staying over for a year. But I started in Iceland, and then I worked my way, went to Oktoberfest, like went through Europe.
Oh, so like you didn't even come back. You were like always going.
I went for yeah, I
Like
did
a year
come.
straight.
I came back to the U.S. in July for 4th of July and a few things to see my family, but then yeah, but I was still
Dang.
traveling. Like, I didn't have a
Yeah.
home base, I guess. So yeah, and then I did Europe, and then I did Middle East, and then Asia. So it was mainly those.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was oh my gosh, it was I think 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
It's 2022 at the time of this, so 2017.
Yeah, 2017.
Dang.
That's when I came back. So 2016 I left.
So did you start? Is that when you started blogging? Is when you were traveling after work?
I started the blog I think in 2014, so a few years
wow,
before
okay.
that, and then I kind of kept it up while traveling. And
How established like was it? Like or how long did it like take to like gain traction? Or were you like, "Oh, it's just a passion project?"
it took a while to build. It still still takes effort.
Yeah.
Plus just writing blogs in general is a lot of work and getting better
Sure.
at photography and stuff. So I'd say like 3 years, and then I was feeling better about it. I didn't start making money off of it probably till like 5 years in. So I guess
Okay.
I've been doing it for longer than maybe like 7 years.
Dang.
Yeah, I feel like that's typically how it goes, though. Any type of like influencer or anybody who's big on social media, people think like, oh, they were an overnight sensation, and most people are like,
It's a
I've been doing
grind.
this since I was like 13,
Oh,
14,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I just didn't like pop off until last year or whatever it
Exactly.
is. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
And
pretty
now that
cool.
I'm in Idaho, and the name is Traveling Spud, I think it
Yeah.
makes more sense.
Was that the original name or did you
Yeah.
So you've had that name this whole time then?
Uh-huh.
That's pretty cool. Do you have it trademarked?
No, but that's a good I
Yeah.
should.
Someone's gonna steal it if they
We'll
see
wait to
this.
drop this until you trademark
Oh
it.
Yeah.
gosh,
So no
I
one
didn't even
steals it.
think about that.
Yeah, definitely. 'Cause that's like a good
Nobody
like
steal it.
IP to have. Like, do you have
Yeah.
your own website then?
Yeah,
Is
I
it-
do.
Okay,
So no
so
one could take that, but they could spell traveling different, like 2 L's,
Sure.
like the
Yeah.
Europeans or whatever. But
Dang.
yeah,
You could do traveling potato.
there is another Traveling Spud girl. I think lives in Ireland, and she is called Traveling Spud with 2 L's.
Is Ireland known for potatoes?
Yeah,
That's funny.
potato famine.
Big
Funny.
potato
I mean,
famine
yeah,
back in the day.
yeah.
So when you were in San Francisco and your friends would see your blogs, and would they be like, what's the Spud? Like what is that?
Yeah, I think a lot of my friends call me the Spud still. They're like the Spud. But I was doing a lot of like San Francisco blogs back then
Mhm.
because that's where I lived, and a lot of California stuff, and then all my travels. And I think what kind of motivated me was people were like, we used your blog and we loved it. Like we went to all the restaurants you recommended and we loved it. And I was like, cool. I get some joy out of that part, when
Yeah.
Yeah.
people actually use my
You're
recs.
actually influencing.
Yeah,
by doing- Yeah.
exactly.
I did realize it's kind of like a virtual tour guide in a
Yeah.
sense. Like you're not there with them, but like, hey, you should do this and this, and you probably say at what times to do it or like what occasion. Like that's a
Yeah.
pretty. I've never really thought of it that way.
Yeah, it's fun. Cause I don't love the whole, like, trip planning, travel planner type thing. I don't think I would like to do that, but I do like giving people, like, "Here's my entire itinerary that I did, and it's awesome, and you should copy it."
You should go do it.
But I'm not gonna plan it for you.
Right.
So you mentioned you did it for about 3 or so years, and then about year 5 or something is when you started making money,
Mhm.
or at least like monetizing it.
Yeah.
Like, what did that look like? How do you
Yeah.
monetize?
So basically, I always tell people to have a website because social could go at any moment. Like Instagram just had a huge glitch the other day, so it's nice to have like something if that's going to be your business. So it's mainly been traffic, so a lot of SEO work. Trying to rank higher on search engines. For those people who don't know what SEO is, search engine optimization. So just writing blogs so that it's popping up further up on Google search. And then getting more traffic that way. So I started to get more and more traffic because as your blog gets established and your website gets more established, you get more traffic. They think that you're an authoritarian or whatever on the topic. Is that the word? And
Something like that.
authority, not
Yeah.
authoritarian, authority on the topic. And then I started making money through ads. I use Mediavine, which is like my ad network. So I
Okay.
started using, first I used Google Ads and then I got enough traffic to move to Mediavine. So ad traffic, which is awesome because you're like sort of passive income.
Sure.
And then sponsored posts on the blog, sponsored content on my Instagram. I try to be pretty picky on the Instagram sponsored stuff because you can tell when someone doesn't like something
Oh
and,
yeah.
it's just
100%.
so I try to choose things that I like and,
I say I feel
um
like a blog would be a little different, like to do sponsored posts
mhm,
because you could write whatever you want.
yeah.
But like yeah, like obviously like video content or like Instagram posts, like you can obviously tell like okay,
Oh,
that
yeah.
person isn't using it. They're
Uh-huh.
just getting the money and
Totally.
doing their job.
Yeah, I learned the hard way. I think I promoted some stuff in the early days that were you could tell I was not aligned with it.
Yeah.
And then it just flopped. So, that sponsorships and then I'll get sometimes invited to, different destinations, and they'll pay.
That's pretty
Oh,
cool.
wow.
So that's nice, and a lot of times I'll get, like, exchanges, so, like, a free hotel stay to write about it or
Oh, wow.
whatever.
So is this your like full-time job now?
Not no, I still have some okay, so I 2 years ago, I started my own business for marketing, so I consult for tech companies similar to what I used to do in-house. I just was like, "I'm gonna see if this works and if anyone will hire me," and people needed it, which I was shocked. So I have a few clients now. I've been lowering it down because 'cause I'm planning my wedding right now, which is like a whole 'nother
Yeah,
Congratulations.
client.
congrats on
Thank
that.
you. It feels like I'm another client, but anyway, um, so I have that, and then I do this. I try to make it half and half. I'm trying to lean more into doing it full time, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Cool.
Absolutely. So does a lot of the money you do make from the traveling and the blog, does a lot of that go back into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
That's what a lot of people.
I have a few like virtual assistants and a few people that will write for me or research for me. And then I'll usually they research and then I'll go write the actual thing, but
Uh-huh.
they'll go, you know, look up stuff for me just to save
I
myself some
say
time.
what kind of time is that like taking to write like a blog post?
To get it from writing all the way to like published with images and have SEO like 8 hours.
Oh,
Dang.
wow.
I
It's like
know.
writing a paper.
Yeah.
That's why I could never be a blog person because I couldn't even write my own papers in college. Like
Yeah.
I could never do it. I'll stick to just
Trust
speaking
me,
to
I
a
did not
microphone.
like writing in college either. But it's different because I just enjoy the topics, I guess, more.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's fun to write more now that I'm writing more about Idaho.
Yeah.
Um, it's fun to like research and find out what's out there. There's a lot of cool stuff popping up.
Yeah, so how does that process work if like where you decide you want to go? Because I know you go to like Stanley or McCall or just all these spots in Idaho that are rather like kind of hidden gems or the popular stuff. What's like the process of deciding this is where I'm gonna go like vlog this stuff?
So it sort of depends. Sometimes I'll like want to feature an Airbnb that's really cool or a hotel or an activity. So it kind of just depends on if they've reached out to me or if I reach out to them. Um, but I have a few like trips. I have not explored Eastern Idaho very well or Northern Idaho, so those are two trips I really want to go on. But I am going next week to Oregon to do like a Portland trip and visit with Eugene. So I think it's kind of depends on if they reach out to me or if I'm just like, okay, there's some content gaps I want to fill those in, and I need to plan a trip
Yeah.
and write about it
Yeah.
for SEO or just on my blog in general.
So do you have other competition in Idaho when it comes to blogging?
I think there's quite a few like Boise focused bloggers. There's not a ton of like travel Idaho bloggers that are focused on Idaho, but there are a few. I don't really call them competitors necessarily because everyone's got their own like kind of
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
I mean, Visit Idaho is I don't consider them a competitor either because I work with them, but they are promoting out mostly Idaho
Sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of good Idaho resources out there.
And I feel like Idaho is still a little too small to be like competing. Like it's still
Yeah,
small fish in a small tank. It's not quite that like big fish, small tank. Like there's not
yeah,
really those levels quite yet. Like you see an influencer on the street and you're still like they're weird.
yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
hasn't really hit that
It's
like
it's not a norm
it
here
hasn't
yet.
hit the
Right,
normal like
yeah.
normalcy. Like
And Natalie from Hello Meridian and I have talked about this. There aren't that many influencers, bloggers in Idaho. We
yeah,
need more
Right.
because there's so many different niches and companies that want to promote different things, and
100%.
it's just kind of the consistency in doing it. It's not
Yeah.
like easy.
I'd say Natalie's a big one. There was that other Natalie that had that incident. I know Mackenzie. I don't know. Have you heard of Mackenzie Teagues with the Raw Thoughts podcast?
No.
She goes out of here and she started her podcast back in I don't know. I think March of 2022, and it was kind of steady, and now I mean she's like hit. I think the last like 2 months she's done like over I think 1,000 or a couple thousand
Oh
followers,
wow.
and like
Sweet.
she's about to hit 150 subs on YouTube, but she's like killing it.
Oh, that's awesome.
She like made it her full time thing though. She like just went hard into it.
What
Which
does
is
she
cool to
talk
see.
about?
So it's called Raw Thoughts, and it's basically like, it's people from anything. I mean, she gives like her personal like number and email on the podcast, and look, like if you have anything cool to say or a story or know anyone, like reach out to me, and like you can just come on and talk about it.
Oh,
And
that's
so like,
cool.
there's been people from like first responders with PTSD stories, to moms with the postpartum depression like advice,
Yeah.
like everything. It's
Oh,
really cool
wow.
to
That
see.
is cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She'll do really cool stuff like that, and then we were on there and just talked about
Yeah, then
like
it's just like
yeah,
people
we
like
have a
us.
podcast too.
Yeah. So
Hey, this is fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely.
I love it.
I was curious though, how does Idaho's scenery compare to the rest of the world you've been to?
That is a good question because I came home and all I wanted to do was go to the Sawtooths and go to Stanley. And I was like, you know what? Like, this might be cooler than any of the places that I traveled. I mean,
pretty
obviously, I
crazy.
went to cool places, but our scenery is because we have the desert at the bottom and we have the mountains and then we have the rivers and then the rolling hills of the Palouse and then we have craters of the moon and then we have sand dunes. There's like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Deep lakes and
Yeah.
the Frank Church Wilderness is if you've ever done the Middle Fork of the Salmon, which I highly recommend that trip if you ever get a chance. It's like 7 days, but you're going to be the furthest away from a road in the lower 48 states, which is
Really?
so cool. There's like bald eagles flying around and it's kind
Whoa.
of Alaska vibes. But yeah, I mean, it's beautiful here. So
Yeah.
comparatively, I would say it's pretty high up there.
Okay, that's good to
And
know.
it kind of
that is
looks,
pretty-
if you go to Iceland, you'll be like, wow, this kind of looks like Idaho.
Really?
Yeah.
What's
This might
that?
is a little off topic, but Iceland is the one that's like all green, right? And then Greenland's like the one that's all ice, like the
Yeah.
opposites.
Yeah.
Is that actually true?
Uh-huh.
That's
I
kinda
actually
weird.
met a couple from Greenland, and I think there's only like 20, maybe 40,000 people that live there or something. And they all live on the vicinity, like on the circle outside of the ice. It's crazy.
in
And I
Greenland?
was like, are you guys related? 'Cause they're dating.
That's
And I was
funny.
like, oh, that's a small pool.
I'm not
pick
gonna
from.
ask, but I'm
Yeah.
very curious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true.
What is that famous beach in Iceland?
It's a black
The
sand
black
beach.
sand beach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go there when you were in
Yeah.
Iceland?
Yeah, it's cool.
What's that like?
It's just like so expansive and all of the sand is black. But there's like I don't think it's the same beach I'm thinking of, but there's another one that has like these big pillars that you can climb up on that you've maybe seen photos of, but Iceland is cool. And they speak such perfect English and they get their like English teaching from the Americas versus like a lot of countries get it from, England. So they sound almost American when they speak. Like
Huh.
they sound like they're from the US, which is kind of
What's
crazy.
the native language there?
Icelandic.
Oh, okay.
Icelandic. I didn't know that was a language.
Reykjavik is the capital city. Reykjavik.
How big is it? Like, it's
I
like-
don't know the size, but there's like 350,000 people live there.
Okay.
In all
But
of
you can
Iceland?
drive around it. Like I did a road trip through around it and it took like 9 days.
Dang, 9 days.
I don't know. I
so
mean,
about a week
it's hard
or
to
some
know
change.
how big it is, but
Yeah.
That's cool.
So when you're traveling to places like Greenland and Iceland and all through Europe and stuff like that, do you try to kind of like immerse yourself in like the culture and try to like kind of just act like you're like one of the locals, so to speak? Or are you kind of more just like, hey, I'm that girl from America, here I am?
when I was traveling solo, I really did that because I really did the immersive piece
Mhm.
because I wanted to get to know the culture. I usually stayed in hostels, so I could meet people, but I would try to stay quite a bit of time in each place to get to know it. Nowadays, I feel like I'm more touristy because unless I'm there for a long time, it sort of depends. But I think I would stay places for like a full month just to kind of really
Dang,
get to
yeah.
know it.
That's crazy.
When you
Yeah.
have time,
I
you
bet
can
you've
really
met some
do that.
very interesting people.
I have.
Do you stay in contact with a lot of people you've met in other
Yeah,
countries?
I have. Some of them have become my really good friends.
That's pretty
Huh.
cool.
But then I'd also meet people along the way. Like I met an Icelandic guy in Europe and we became good friends and then we went to the Middle East together, which was nice for me because I wanted to go with somebody, not just myself. And you meet people along the way and then I ran into people from Europe that were in Thailand. Like there's like a circuit. It's crazy.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been to Dubai?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go there. My dad's
Dubai
been a
is
couple
really
times.
wild. Mainly because it's like you see a girl in like a bikini running around, like she's going on a run, and then you see someone in a full burqa carrying like a Louis Vuitton bag. It's just a
I thought
interesting place.
their rules are pretty strict, aren't they?
You don't have to wear any like
Oh,
hijab or anything there.
huh.
I was gonna say I've heard like Dubai, just the city itself
Mm-hmm.
is very like one of the most actually like diverse cities in the world.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just got a lot of high rises and malls
It
and
has the
stuff.
tallest building
Yeah.
in the world, right? That's like
The Burj
just
Khalifa.
unbelievably tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely go back there. When I went, I did a 7 Emirates tour, so it's like because it's in the Emirates, so there's all different there's 7 different ones, and you can go like see the difference. And they're so different.
So what was the best of the 7?
I think Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi
So I
has a
heard-
really cool mosque that's like huge and white, and it's just like badass. But
That's
anyway.
pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I've yet to go across the pond.
Yeah.
You gotta go.
I've only been to Costa Rica. That's the only time I've been
I've
out of the
heard
country.
Costa Rica's great. I've never been.
The Pacific side is good, not the Caribbean side.
Okay.
The Caribbean side I was told is scary and that we should not go over there.
Okay.
So we didn't.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah,
Huh.
we went surfing down there at a surf camp. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that sounds really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you been to every continent then?
No, I still haven't been to Australia or Antarctica, but
Okay.
I'm trying to plan an Antarctica trip here
Really?
soon.
You can get to Antarctica?
Yeah,
I thought like people couldn't go there unless you're like a scientist.
you can go. You have to go on a ship, and it takes you through the Drake's Passage, which apparently is like 2 days of hell because it's like shaking, and you're on deep sea, which is freaky.
I was gonna say I don't think they have like Airbnb down there. So
Yeah.
where do you stay? when
Yeah,
you're
I think
down
it's I think you just stay on the ship, and you go down, and then you get off and do like excursions.
Like
and
I go
stuff.
down, touch the ice, I touch
Yeah.
it and come back.
Yeah.
2 more days
See the
back to hell.
penguins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to go.
Would you go to Antarctica? Like, if you had to pick one to go to, like, next week, would you pick Antarctica over Australia? Just because, like, Antarctica is like, I feel like so few people go there compared to Australia. I feel like Australia is a very big.
I don't know. Because we were gonna do our honeymoon in New Zealand,
I
but
thought you were
then
gonna say Antarctica. I was like, that is gonna be a cold
that would be
honeymoon.
sweet. I don't know. I think before I die, I mean, I want to go to every country in the world, which I don't think is gonna happen in my lifetime, but I want to go to as many as possible. So yeah, I would say I'd go there.
Are you more interested in like the big cities across the world, or more about like the scenery and the scenic areas?
I like both. I'm a big city girl. I love big cities, but you got to have a mix. You got to see both sides. So I
Hmm.
try to, maybe even home base in a big city and then go out to the other parts, just
Yeah.
explore.
What country surprised you the most?
Um,
I've been seeing that TikTok trend recently where it's like just a bunch of like super quick pictures of like the best scenery, like the
yeah,
best city, the
those
best
are cool.
nicest locals.
Okay. I think the one that surprised me there's two that probably surprised me the most. Um, Morocco, I thought would be uh better than I want. Like, how do I say this without dissing on Morocco?
Yeah.
Like,
Like, it
basically, I
sucks.
thought it would be more chill, and it was so like stressful when I was there.
Like, busy. Like,
Busy, and my sister and I didn't really plan enough, and we got scammed. So it's probably our own fault.
oof.
Um, but that was, and it was Ramadan, which is the Muslim holiday, the whole month where they
So that's a
don't eat,
big holiday,
basically.
right?
Yeah, the whole month of May, I think they don't eat or drink water for a really long time. They fast, and so all of our drivers and guides and stuff weren't eating, and they were so cranky, and it
That
was
sucks.
Yeah.
crazy. So that, and then I went to Iran. Okay.
Mm.
Which is pretty wild, and it was really scary to go. I was really scared, and it ended up being awesome. Like, it's one of my favorite
Really?
countries.
Really?
They they loved, so I was in a group of Australians and British people and some Spanish people and a few Americans, and they would say, "Where are you from?" And people would say, "Oh, I'm from England." And we'd say, "We're from America." We were kind of worried to say that we're from there.
Mhm.
And they'd be like, "Oh, America, Hollywood. We love America, USA." And their English is really great
Just like
too. So
instant celebrity.
instant celebrity, they're obsessed, even though, our governments hate each other and it's
Yeah.
horrible.
Uh-huh.
Um, they were beautiful people. Like, actually, it was wonderful.
That's kind of crazy. Like, you saying that kind of realizes that it's not like the people, obviously, it's the government issue there.
Yeah.
If
Uh-huh.
they're in love with us
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they seem like fun people to be around. I've seen some TikToks of like Iranian people just doing some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it was eye-opening to go there, but I like to tell people that just because, like, we think of the Middle East as, like, just a desert with
yeah,
war zone,
that's
and really it's like there's people that live there, and it's actually quite beautiful and
Did you do a lot of
nice
driving
people.
in that? Because I was gonna say,
No.
isn't it's one of the Middle Eastern, like, if there's a cow in the road, everyone stops for like the cow.
Oh,
Like,
really?
like the street goes dead until the cow gets fully across.
Sounds like Idaho.
Yeah, with a goose. Yeah.
I've
Uh,
seen a lot of I think the craziest driving I've ever seen is Vietnam and Israel.
like, why? Like, just
Just no road signs, no nothing, no lines, just people just going wherever they want.
It's like the Autobahn,
I say,
but
have you been
Yeah.
on
for country.
Autobahn?
Yeah, but Autobahn is like sort of like our freeways. It's actually
Just
you just go the whatever limit you
whatever speed
want.
you want, right?
Yeah, but it didn't. This is just like chaos. These other ones,
It's so
chaos.
funny.
How fast did you go on the Autobahn?
I think we went 180, but it was in. They do
Uh,
it in a different
Kilometers, right? Or kilometers per
that
hour?
that we like put it into miles per hour, but I don't know what that
Dang.
is in
So
kilometers.
it would be way faster. It'd be like 250 or something like that. It'd be really fast.
Maybe it was
Yeah.
180
I
kilometers.
would say,
then.
180. You'd have to be in like a
Kilos per hour?
Bugatti.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's interesting though. You talk about everybody from Iceland to Iran speak English really well.
Yeah.
I think because I always hear that. I feel like everyone around the world, for the most part, speaks a little bit of English or another language. But in America, It's like there's a lot of people do speak Spanish,
Hmm.
but it's not normal to speak another language.
I know. We're Yeah, we got really lucky that English was adopted as like the international language because I didn't go anywhere where I couldn't get around. It was super easy to get around. I think the hardest places to get around were South America because they really, it's Spanish or
Hmm.
Portuguese. But yeah, English has been adopted in most of these countries, so that's really easy for us. But yeah, we're kind of sad and don't know anything besides
Yeah.
English. At least I feel sad about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, did you go to like India or like Sri Lanka, anything in
No,
that area? No.
no. I want to. I want to do India and China. I feel like I have to like be in the right mindset.
I was gonna say if I was gonna go somewhere for just like scenery, it would be Australia one, and
Yeah,
then India would be my second, I think.
I've heard really good things about India.
I want to go to like Thailand.
Yeah, Thailand's.
I want to go to Japan too. Japan seems
Yeah,
cool to
Japan is
try.
probably my favorite country. If I
Really?
had to choose,
I was gonna say
yeah,
I think yeah Tokyo in terms of like going to a big city, I'd go to Tokyo would be number one. What was that like?
awesome. So cool. The people are really friendly and everything's super organized. Even though they have so many people on that tiny island, it's super organized and people are very conscientious. The food is out of this world good. Oh,
Did you
so
eat
good.
anything like crazy? 'Cause don't they have some like really crazy?
Not in Japan, but I ate a rat in
Ugh.
Vietnam and a snake. And I
Snake, I
drank
could.
snake blood.
How was it?
It tastes like blood. If you've ever
Was it
tasted
like a
blood,
shot or
I
like
took a shot of snake blood, yeah.
was there like a chaser of like vodka behind it or anything or?
I was gonna say are there like health benefits to that or?
Apparently in Vietnam, it's like for men sexually to, it helps them
It's like
somehow.
Viagra.
Yeah. Because snakes have, I don't know how we want to get into this, but snakes have like two penises. So apparently they believe that like snakes help with sex.
I guess nature's Viagra.
Yeah.
It's just snake
That's
blood.
pretty funny.
Exactly. So anyway, yes, I've eaten weird stuff, but Japan was really great. I mean, the people are just so wonderful.
Are
So
they a lot more advanced technology wise, as people say?
yeah. Oh yeah. Things are I think maybe I heard South Korea has really advanced even further than Japan, but yeah, they have just I mean, they have like robot cafes and stuff like that, you
Really?
know? Yeah,
They'll
I
have
never
like the toilets like talk too.
the toilets are
They have like mini
awesome.
games I heard and like
Oh, I had
like the urinals have games like
you can play music too, like on the toilet in case you don't want people to hear you or something.
that's so
They have
random.
all these different things.
That's so
Did
funny.
did you ride a bullet train in Tokyo?
Yes, I did. Rode one. I think it was from Tokyo to Kyoto, which Kyoto's awesome
Yeah.
too.
So did you go see Mount Fiji too then?
Yeah,
How far away is that from Tokyo?
I don't remember. I'm not sure. It's not too far. But if you are going to Japan, that you gotta buy the train passes ahead of time because they're so freaking expensive. Those bullet trains. It's not just something you can
Speaking of
just.
cost, so like you obviously quit your job going back a little bit in time. What
Hmm.
like was the cost like just living with no home base for a year? Like how did were you
My
living like all on
total,
savings?
I saved for about 2 to 3 years.
Dang.
35,000
Last year about a year?
for a year and 2 months, and I
Oh,
was staying in hostels quite a bit, and then I was also balling out sometimes.
sure.
Like I bought I went to Bali and did this like coding camp. So I paid that's part of the 35. So I met people while I was traveling who were doing a year for 5,000, some that were doing like 10, 15. Mine was towards the higher end, I think, of
Okay.
saving. Some people had 50,000. You could do a lot with 50,000.
I bet.
But like if you think about it, it sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
But if you think about what we live on in the US per year, what people's salaries are, like you actually it's cheaper to
Yeah.
travel for the year versus like living here. Like living costs can be
Sure.
high.
S-
Um
So like what were you like advise like money aware then like when you're like booking all your stuff like how like when did you choose to like ball out and when did you choose like okay I'm gonna take it easy for like this month or this next couple weeks and
Yeah, I my plan was to stay in hostels as much as I could, which are cheap, like anywhere from like $5 a night
yeah,
to $30 a night. And I guess in Europe maybe like 60 to 80. Um so I Europe I knew was going to be more expensive. So what I did is I actually before I left I made a spreadsheet of where places I think that I want to go. But I tried not to be too strict on those places because I met people and then I would like go travel with them and go off here and go
that's
here.
pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
you have a schedule, but like no
Yeah.
schedule.
Yes.
That'd be pretty
So
sweet.
I did that and I looked up the cost per day in each of these places. So it was like, okay, your cost per day in England or like London is like $150 a day versus Thailand, you could get by with $30 a day, maybe 15. So I sort of went through that. That's what helped me like figure out how much to budget for the whole time. And then I sort of was like, okay, I'm going to probably, a lot of my money is going to be spent up front when I'm in Europe. And then the Middle East is sort of a little bit less expensive. And then when I go to Asia, I'll have a little bit less. I came back with like no money.
I was gonna say, was there ever a point where you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like
That's why I cut it. I think I could have gone another like 3 more months, but I came home and then I had the trip to Iran planned, so I ended up coming back and living with my parents for a little while and then I went, but I had not much money left and so I ended up getting like a bartending job and stuff once I got home.
yeah,
Um,
back to the real world.
but I have a travel course too that I created
Oh, that's
that has
cool.
like all the spreadsheets and stuff of what I did just for people who, you know, want to travel long term but
Yeah.
aren't sure how to start it.
Was there any like trip hacking? I know that's like a big thing now, like the whole like house hacking, like trip hacking, book a flight on a Tuesday 3 months out. Like there's a whole bunch of ways to like save money. Like
Yeah.
do you do that now? Or
Yeah.
like
I do. Skyscanner was a big thing that I used while I was traveling.
that's what I heard is the best one.
Uh-huh. I like it because you can, if you're flexible, you can put where you're from and then put to anywhere and it'll pop up the cheapest places to travel.
That's
So
cool.
when you're traveling, for a year, you're like, I was in Berlin, for example, and it was getting dark at 3 p.m. because it was like Christmas market time. I wanted to go to the Christmas markets in Germany. And then 3 p.m., I'm like, I'm so cold and I'm a single woman like out. I don't want to be out in the dark really walking around. So I was like, Skyscanner, Berlin to anywhere. And for $30 I could fly to Athens
That's
in Greece.
crazy.
Jeez.
So I just did it. And then that's what like Skyscanner was really helpful. Hostel World if you're like into hostels, which I think everyone should try it out sometime in their life. It's really fun. You meet a lot of cool people.
My
Don't
roommate
watch the
does.
movie Hostel.
My roommate works for Delta and he goes on like these like 2-3 week trips because I mean flight is like basically no cost for him because he works for Delta.
Yeah.
So one, he gets to fly for basically free, and they upgrade him to first class on the
That's
international
awesome.
one or whatever best seat available.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, and then it's like we just stay in hostels for like 2 weeks. I'm like, what do you? He's like, oh, we just spend it on food and like maybe do an excursion or here or two, or we just stay for longer because there's no cost. I'm like,
That's
that's so sweet.
awesome.
But yeah,
That's really cool.
he's told me some stories like people we've met in hostels and like he's like some really weird stories. He's like,
Oh,
and there's people that I met that I'm still like talk to today. So
there's some weirdos and there's definitely some cool people. That's
is
for
there
sure.
any like homeless people in like hostels? Like, or is it
I
pretty
didn't
much all
meet any.
tourists?
Yeah, all tourists in the ones I stayed in. Then the ones in Europe and Asia are awesome. They just are like so cool. And they have all these activities planned and a great way to meet people.
That's
I just
cool.
think it's so great if you're trying to travel on a budget because you can get by like some of them I literally paid $5 a night. So I was like, I'm gonna stay here for a
Yeah, that's cool.
month. So I think that the hostel thing, and then I'm a big fan now of credit card points of like
Yeah,
and having on every airline like getting into the travel program, it's free and you can get points like every time you fly.
definitely.
Yeah.
So those are great. And then they say like Tuesdays are a great time to book a flight. I don't know if that's actually true. There's been a lot of like
Yeah.
myths coming out like saying that's not true. But what I have noticed is clearing my cache. when I'm searching for stuff like travelhotels.com or
Oh,
like Kayak or something or Skyscanner, I noticed that they sort of
like they'll raise them when
yeah.
you have more of a.
Interesting.
Uh-huh. If you've been
Huh.
searching like I want to fly to Palm Springs like over and over and over, they're like, "Oh, this person wants to fly to Palm Springs."
We're
They're
gonna.
going to book it. And I've noticed going on incognito can be helpful.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense, though.
Yeah,
That they would do
100%.
that.
Yeah, they're watching your
New
cookies.
development here.
Yeah.
Breaking.
Yeah.
Speaking of SEO and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's the scariest thing that's happened to you while traveling? Because you talked about you thought Iran was gonna be super scary and it wasn't. In Morocco, you thought, and it was kind of stressful, but it wasn't like necessarily scary. Was there one that stands out?
Yes, I put myself in sometimes some sketchy situations. So, I'd probably say the scariest was so luckily nothing really bad happened to me while I was traveling. Like nothing got stolen or anything
Right.
like that. But I think the scariest situation I was in, which I was traveling to Peru to go. This was not my solo travel. This was with my friend. But we went to Machu Picchu and we had a layover in El Salvador. And El Salvador's at the time was known for lots of gangs and being like really unsafe. But we were like, let's go to the beach on our layover. So we had 8 hours. We went to we took a taxi and we went to this beach and then we got there and we're like, "Oh, how are we going to get back to the airport? There's nothing. Like there's no way to get back." So we just went and asked this like person that worked in a restaurant and we're like, "Hey, do you know how to get back? Are there any taxis?" And they're like, "Oh, our friend, what's his name down the street is free and he can drive you." And he rolls up in this truck. We get in. He drives us to the airport. We both fall asleep in the car because we were jet
Oh.
lagged.
Oh,
How far
jeez.
is the airport?
It's like an hour and a half.
Ooh.
So, okay, we made it safely, obviously, and
Yeah,
it was
like
fine.
you're here now.
But
But
that
like
could have been a lot
looking
worse.
back, I'm like,
Yeah.
gosh, that was so dumb. Like, I guess my intuition wasn't going off. It was all fine. But the fact that we fell asleep, we look back on that, we're like, that is
That could have
Yeah.
gone
horrible.
That could have
downhill
been like a
fast.
take-in situation.
yeah,
Or,
I know.
yeah.
So, and the other, like, there was other times where I would, drink too much or something, and I'm like, okay, I'm by myself.
Uh-huh.
I need to lock this in. So I had a few times where I was like, oh, that was really bad, and I need to not be doing
Yeah.
that anymore. So like those were scary times. But the cool thing about hostels is I felt like I would sort of make friends like the day I got there or whatever,
Yeah.
and then people it's like you become friends really fast, and
I
then
was
you're
gonna
like,
say,
you
I'm
have my
guessing
back.
there's that bond of
Yeah.
like we're
Yeah.
all kind of in this together.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of drinking, bringing it back to
Yeah.
Boise, recently I've been seeing on Instagram you do a lot more of like Boise breweries. Like I saw you said, oh, the James just opened
Mhm.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. What are some of your favorite breweries out here?
Breweries? Oh,
Or any drinking spots.
okay.
We can do anything.
I love drinking, so Mother Earth, I love.
Yeah.
Mother Earth is
Um,
great.
I love Barbarian for their sour beer because I'm a big fan of sours. I love Western Collective. And then I'm a big fan of taking my bike and just biking down the Greenbelt and doing like Talaya, going to Sandbar for live music, going to Yardarm. Yardarm's fun. And then the new speakeasies, there's one in the Lively. There's a new one that I haven't been to called like Gatsby 1920 or something.
I heard it's very hard to get into that.
Oh,
Like
really?
you have to know a guy who knows a guy.
Really?
Type of
Really?
thing. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And then Thick as Thieves is a great speakeasy if you haven't been yet. It feels like you're in a big city. You have to make a reservation. I went the day they opened and it was like easy to get in, and then all of a sudden it's not anymore. You have to make a
Oh.
res.
The hype's there.
Yeah.
But I love those places, and then I love going wine tasting out in Sunny Slope. I'm trying to think what else. I used to hit up all the like Cactus and all those bars back
Right.
in the day,
Sure.
but
Yeah. We're still in that era.
Yeah.
I love it. Silly Birch, it's a good
Yep.
one.
Hannah's, Roddy's.
Hannah's, Roddy's.
Was Karma around? Or Karma was a
Karma.
different.
Was Karma Blue
Karma's-
China
Yeah.
or Blue? Doesn't sound right.
Next to Pie Hole.
Above Pie Hole on 8.
China Blue, not
Yeah,
Blue
China Blue.
Yeah,
Yeah, Karma's cool.
Okay, I haven't been there yet.
I'm not sure
Um,
if they redid it or not. I mean, it's like an arcade and like got like a bunch of like cool lights. It's more like they're trying to get it to like that nightclub
okay.
vibe, but
Yeah,
nothing in Boise is really a nightclub
I
yet.
know.
Even though
It's
they like to
true.
call them, I know the Ted Challenger music group likes
I
to
was
call
gonna
them
say
nightclubs, but they're
Strange Love tries really hard, but I
yeah,
can't. It
Yeah.
doesn't do it for me. I
Yeah.
don't know.
not yet.
Strangelove might be where China Blue was, I think.
Strangelove's next to
Across from Tom
Roddy's.
Graney's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tom Graney's is fun too.
yeah.
yeah.
In the
Tom
It's a
basement.
Graney's basement or the Speakeasy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Granny's isn't. It's still fun, but I guess right before COVID, it used to be a lot busier. But that kind of just made me think: how did COVID affect traveling for you, or did it?
That's a good question. It did affect it a lot. I think mostly started to just travel more around Idaho. So
Well, I guess you couldn't travel anywhere else
Yeah.
at the time.
yeah, I think I still did though. I went to Alaska, which was sweet because no one was there. And we went to, like, all the animals came out because it's COVID
I was
and
gonna say, is there anyone there anyways?
yeah. But that's where I started to really get more into Idaho content and kind of calling myself an Idaho blogger because before I really was going all over the place. I still am, but yeah, I've started to wind down a tiny, tiny bit.
Yeah.
What are your like
That's not for long.
means that when you're traveling Idaho? Are you like car or van or
Yeah, car
car? Do you like
mostly.
you sleeping in the car or like Airbnb, hotel,
A
or all the
mixture
above?
of Airbnbs and hotels. We have done the sub-overland rental thing, which is this guy from my Twin Falls high school. He started this company out of Twin Falls, and you can get these like Suburbans, and he makes them into camper vans. We've done that before.
That's
That's
pretty
really
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's mostly just driving, and then we'll stay in cabins or hotels. I feel like the Airbnbs in Idaho are really cool.
Yeah. Have you stayed in that like potato house?
Yes, the Potato Hotel.
Yeah.
I have. It's cool. There's no windows in it.
Just potato.
It's just potato, but it's cool the way she's designed it. Like, it's nice. It's very nice inside, and then you go outside to an old like corn silo or whatever
Yeah.
silo, and she has a big trough for water to take a bath, and then there's a nice shower,
That's kind of cool.
and there's a cow, Dolly.
Just a single cow?
Yeah,
Huh.
she lives out there.
Is it only? It's only like a. How many rooms are in that potato hotel?
It's not really a hotel. I don't know why they call it that, but it's just one room.
I was gonna say you can't. There
Just a
can't be
potato.
multiple. Yeah.
No. It used to be the traveling potato truck. You know that big Idaho potato
Yeah.
truck?
Yeah.
It used to be on there, and then they retired it and got a new one. And so they retired it into the pasture.
And
So it's really close to Boise. It's only like it's in Mountain Home, I think.
Oh,
Near
really?
Mountain Home. Yeah.
I'll do a podcast there.
Yeah.
The potato.
Overnight
You
podcast.
guys should.
Live from the potato.
That'd
Yeah.
be fun.
Because you obviously, you kind of, especially with like Instagram, the reels you make, you do everything from just local breweries to the Maldives or,
Yeah.
going through France and things like that. Which, what video has the most likes or views?
Yeah.
Or what tends to get the most likes or
The one
views?
that did get the one that's still sort of going viral is one I did. I posted on as like sunsetting over the sawtooths, but it's like half hate and half like.
What's the hate?
Yeah.
Just like, don't come to Idaho. Keep
Oh.
Idaho's,
I was gonna say
private. All
every
that.
single time I see like a TikTok blow up that's like Idaho, people comment like, "Why are you posting this?
Yeah.
More Californians are gonna
Yeah,
come," or
I
like,
know.
"Keep Idaho," and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I get a lot of people that like my content, and then a lot of people who, for that and on that kind of thing. Most of those people don't follow me. They're just like trolls
It's a
or just
one-time
randoms.
thing. It's like
But yeah, I think that one. That's probably anything Idaho does well.
how many views did that one get?
I think like 300,000, 400,000 or something.
Oh wow.
it's pretty crazy to think about it.
look.
300,000 individuals like took the time and
Yeah.
watched it.
I know.
It's a lot of people.
I'm just looking at it now because I haven't looked in a while. I'm sometimes scared to look at the comments because of what people say. Oh, 402,000.
There we go.
It's almost 500,000 people have seen that.
Yeah, that's crazy. I try to be very conscientious about what I do post out there because I don't want a lot of the private stuff like hot springs and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I'll tell you if you take the time to like message me
Yeah.
but you know,
Don't want to be a spoiler.
yeah.
Yeah, then that's no fun.
But people getting mad at me, I'm like, I live here actually. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people out there posting it who don't live here and they have a huge following. So don't get mad at
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I was gonna say though, do you ever have anybody in person try to call you out or tell you to like stop that shit?
No.
Okay, exactly. So
I mean, maybe my family, they're like, stop sharing Idaho.
I
We
think
want to keep it private. But they're
it's
kind
so
of joking, but
yeah. I
not.
mean, like part of me gets it, but at the same time, it's like I don't think any other state is like that, where it's like if a post blows up about the sawtooths or something like that, and just all the locals are just like, "Yo, shut the fuck up." It's like, okay,
I know.
dude, like my bad.
It's
Yeah.
definitely from growing up here, like Instagram has definitely blown up Idaho, like social media has, because I grew up really close to that Blue Heart Springs down in, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's like a down in Thousand Springs, southern Idaho. Anyway, it's gone completely viral. Like people are traveling from all over just to come there. And I grew
Oh
up
wow.
right by it.
Yeah.
And like no one knew it was there, like that I know of. And so I'm kind of like, okay, it's helped. Social media has helped in certain ways and then it's not in other ways. So there's
Sure.
a balance.
Yeah.
But like I want to share I want locals to know where these things are so they can go do it on the
Yeah.
weekends.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like
And I'm guessing most of your fan base are locals, right?
it's a kind of a mix. I have a
Really?
lot of people from California because that's where I used to live, and a lot of people who are moving here,
Yeah, I
or
guess that makes sense.
moved here.
Yeah.
And then yeah, a lot of Idaho and some random country like New York. There's a lot of New
Do you know
York.
your gender demographic?
Yeah, it's mostly women ages
Like
20,
moms or younger?
25 to
Yeah.
like 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like kind of like
It's pr-
that travel-ish.
It's getting older as I get older,
Okay.
is what I've noticed.
Yeah.
Because I'm like talking about older stuff. Like I'm not traipsing around the
History
world
and
and
stuff
stuff.
like
and
that.
yeah.
Like,
Like all the
back when I
Oregon
was
Trail landmarks that are around like Boise
Yeah.
Avenue and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Man.
Cool.
Yeah.
Want to wrap it up?
Yeah. I wanted to ask though, you have on your Instagram bio, you were featured on USA Today and Reader's Digest, I
Yeah.
believe.
Uh-huh.
What was it, like your blogs or what was that?
Yeah, so those were like interviews and stuff that the Reader's Digest was like quoted in Reader's Digest and BBC Travel. And then
cool.
the USA Today I was like one of the two people chosen to like, I don't know, experts of Idaho, I guess you could call it. And it was like the top 10 things to do and we featured them. I don't know how to explain it, but they do a 10 best, the USA Today does.
Uh-huh.
And it was like 10 best things to do in Idaho. And I was what do you call it, expert for that post.
Do you consider yourself an expert? Like looking back, like
I
when was it?
this was a few years ago.
Were you like, yeah, they picked the right person? Were you like, yeah, they should not have picked
I think they picked the right person, even though I don't know a lot still.
Did they pick? Was there two people from Idaho?
I
So
don't know who
who's-
the other person was. I think he was like a writer.
Oh, it wasn't like a collaborative thing then.
No.
It was like
We just like
That's
each
cool.
picked stuff, and like then everybody got a vote, and yeah.
that's pretty sweet.
I would like to
Yeah.
say that I'm an expert, but I also know I have a lot to learn.
I think everyone does though.
Yeah.
I'd say you're ahead of the field though,
Sure,
ahead of most.
because people ask me questions all the time, and I'm like, I have no idea. So
Right.
I'm a wannabe expert.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, I think you're definitely more than that. I think
Thanks.
you're at least getting there. I mean,
Thank
you
you.
have a following for a reason, right?
Thanks. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess to start to wrap this up, what is some advice or something you'd want to tell, especially like the younger, like the early 20s type of people who want to maybe quit their job and go travel the world or just want to start, taking their PTO to go to all these places that you've been to?
Yeah, I would say do it if you want to. It's the best thing I've ever done in my whole life was taking that year off. And a lot of people will give you their own personal fears like, oh, you'll never get a job again. Oh, you'll run out of all your money. Oh, you should buy a house. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, no, you're going to like come back with so much experience. You're going to be able to connect with so many different people. You'll get a job. Like those I would tell I would tell everyone the advice that I needed to hear was everything will be fine when you come back.
Right.
You don't even need to quit your job. You could also sometimes ask for a sabbatical or, just take your PTO. The Americans don't take their PTO. And I would say take it all. And, the money thing, there's definitely ways to cut back and save. And, you just have to think of what your priorities are and like, is it going out and partying or do you really want to go out and party in Spain instead?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
When you put it that way,
Yep.
Spain sounds pretty good.
And make sure to use SkySaver and go to use hostages.
Skyscanner? Yeah.
Skyscanner, my
Uh-huh.
bad. Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Cool.
So
Where can people find you? Sorry,
Yeah.
I figured you were wrapping it.
I'm
Are you?
yeah, I was gonna ask that. Yeah.
okay.
Go for it.
Awesome. I'm on at Traveling Spud on Instagram and TikTok. And then I'm also travelingspud.com is my blog.
Cool.
And
Podcast coming soon, maybe.
maybe. I
Traveling
don't know.
Spud podcast.
You guys need to give me topics and things to talk about. And
I
then
think
will.
just stories and your experiences.
Stories,
and-
experience.
Okay.
I mean, other travelers.
Yeah.
You could zoom in all your travel buddies.
That's true. That
and
would be good.
They can do that and
Yeah.
what to do, what not to do. Don't
That's
fall
true.
asleep.
Yeah.
In
Don't
an
fall
airport
asleep in a random
ti-
person's car
Yeah.
in El Salvador.
But cool.
Nice.
Cool. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Well,
This was
thanks.
fun.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. And
course.
thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And share us from wherever you're listening. Till next time, you never know.
Peace.
Sweet.